I'm going to make you the presenter.
Okay.
So that should pop up for you again, just like it did last time. Now I see sales logics.
Absolutely.
All right. So why don't you bring me through what you're doing here, starting with, just like we did last time, some of the setup, say setup things, like show me your customer prospect list, things like that, and then we'll get into other things you might be tracking.
Okay, well, Sales Logic is a lot simpler than Mass 500 because we're using it at about 2% of its capacity. Essentially, all we're using are the opportunities in it, and the customer information, and some of the notes and appointments. So we've got, here's all of the accounts that we have. We originally had them linked with Mass 500, but that did not function the way it was supposed to. So some of the accounts are linked and sync with Mass 500. Mass 500 always holds control over the information. So this sync is still active. Now, whether or not it's working properly is a different question. So basically, when someone receives a call, they're going to go to companies and search for the company. If it doesn't exist, they're going to fill out the company. Then they'll fill out whatever contacts they have for that company. And then opportunities would be any specific opportunities for that company or that contact.
And so when you say a call comes in, are you differentiating? I know we started in Mass when an order comes in. If you get a call from an existing customer, one that might be on an existing contract, or is it still flowing into Sales Logic, or is this a whole different process?
The customer communications with the sales team would still be tracked in Sales Logic, even if the customer is already established in Mass 500. But the only communications that are tracked in Sales Logic are those sales-oriented communications.
And your sales team, do you differentiate whether your sales team is working with existing customers or new, or do salespeople work with existing customers to generate new opportunities?
Yes, they work both existing and new.
I got it. Okay. So a call comes in, and they search for an account. If the account does exist, do you have any type of assignments, or can anyone work any account?
We have loose assignments. So if there's a salesman already working the account, they're going to keep it. Anybody will help the person, but it'll be that specific salesman's account.
And how can you see that? Is that here under the account manager field?
It is usually.
Okay. And then the owner, what is that in reference to?
The owner is the divisions that we have. We have pharmacy and high containment, and then we also have germ-free environmental in here. Most of these are pharmacy, but here's a high containment.
Got it. So at the account level, you're primarily tracking at this high level. You're primarily tracking, say, basic information, office address. You have both a type and a status. The status. What are the available statuses and types you have there?
Basically, we only use active. Anybody that's inactive, I don't think anybody actually maintains that field. We might have some that are in there as inactive, but generally it's not maintained the way it should be.
Got it. And then under the types, up 2 from there.
We've got customer, prospect, and other.
And customer meaning that they're an active customer, prospect meaning that they're not yet active.
Correct.
Okay. And then do you use other at all?
There may be the occasional other in there, but generally it's not used.
Yeah. Notes. Okay. Yes, you can close that window there. So yeah, the call comes in, they put the information in here. If it doesn't exist, some of the accounts are linked to mass, others are not. It looks like mostly basic information on this screen. We'll get to the notes in a minute, but then you mentioned that you're also tracking the contacts as well.
Yeah, the contacts. Way to minimize it. There we go. Contacts are tracked. You can search by either contact, by company, or by opportunity name, but these all come together in the company. The company is the top level, I believe.
Got it.
The other thing that is in here under our opportunities, this is probably a bad one. Let me pull up one of the pharmacy ones. Would be the quote. Sales order for So, an example. So when you go into the opportunity, we also have the sales order in here. Sales orders are also quotes in this system.
When you say they're also quotes, what do you mean by that?
It would not say posted. So you would insert a new sales order when they're doing a quote, and the status would be quote, and that's how they're going to do their quote to the customer.
And do you use the products part of this?
We do. On the pharmacy side, we do.
So do you have a master list of products in this system?
The products in this system link back from the products in Mass 500.
Got it.
The Mass 500 is the master list.
So if you're working with a new prospect and there's or working with a new prospect and there's a new, do you have new products that get entered from from here?
The new product would be entered here as a generic product code. So we have a specific number that is just high containment custom or pharmacy custom. And then a Word document would be attached to the quote that would give the product specification for anything that would be a new product. Pharmacy is standard equipment, and they're the ones that use the quoting through here the most. So generally, they don't encounter that.
Got it. And then you mentioned occasionally you'll have an attachment. Is that stored in the system here, the attachments? In this case, there are none, but it should be stored there, yeah. Attachments. So, so here we're looking at a particular opportunity. Within an opportunity, the pharmacy primarily will use the sales orders / quotes. It's really the same thing. They're just a different status. And there's also the attachments, and then aside from the sales orders, attachments, and the basic information, is there anything else you're tracking other than where you're using the activities?
They are using activities, but I believe up under the customer level, more so than in the opportunity level.
Got it.
Some of the salesmen use them very heavily. Yeah, he's not going to be on there. Terrence in particular relies heavily on the activities that will prompt him to make the call in a certain period of time.
And is that when you had mentioned that you're using the appointment side of it, is that tracked under the activities here as well? Are the two related?
Yes.
So is there some place, for example, that Terrence could go in and see all of his upcoming appointments?
Yes. I believe he goes under activities. It shows all of his appointments.
Ah, got it. So it shows open activities. And can you click on one of them just so I can see what an activity looks like when you get into it? Got it.
All right, the attachment.
And all right. So yeah, essentially you have the different activities. Then I see here, this has all open, but there could be different ones, like you have the calls, the meetings, to-dos, personal,
Right.
alarms, events, literature, and confirmations.
Yep.
All right. Let me just. Okay. So then back underneath the accounts. So underneath the accounts, that's where you're going to be tracking the, just to recap, the basic information about the account. You're going to track contacts. You're going to track opportunities. Underneath the opportunities, you're going to track quotes, particularly for the pharmacies, attachments. The activities are being tracked more so at the account level than the opportunity level. And then aside from that, I know that you're tracking notes under the opportunity and account level.
Right.
Notes, history. So in here you can just see a history of the notes. So again, quick, normally some just basic text descriptions here. And is there anything else that you're using underneath the, say, opportunities?
Generally, no. I mean, they're going to put an attachment in there. They're going to keep notes in there. The sales process, they may still be using that. It's just kind of the sales funnel that pushes them through. I don't know that that information is really critical, though. This is one that's actually linked. The products lead to the quote. Competitors, I don't see them putting an awful lot of that information in. They may occasionally. So we're using it below the level of the most basic CRM out there.
Yeah. But yeah, so it looks like, yeah, there might be some things that you're using occasionally, not necessarily in a consistent way, but there might be some things in here.
Yeah.
Oh, reports. Are there any reports that that are being used that are critical within the system here that you're running on a regular basis?
John, you get the report out of it. I think you're the only one who gets a report out of it.
The only thing I'm doing is opportunities, and there's no real reason. I don't even do that anymore.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything critical coming out of it.
Yeah, what she's referring to is I'll occasionally go in there and look up the open opportunities by sales associate just to kind of see what they're working on.
Do that as a,
You go to opportunities, yeah, maybe.
you're just pulling the
Like bring up
lookup
branded.
results.
So right there, I would dump that in Excel for what they're working on.
These are all ad hoc, so any user could potentially go in and create one of these just by pulling different fields, but it all just pulls from that same data.
Got it. Now, just like Mass had the Explore area, does this have something like that where you could run a query and export it or anything like that?
Well, this is essentially it, because under this group, that's where you would choose what you need. You know, the conditions, the layout of it, all of that is chosen in here. And then this you can just export to Excel if you have Excel installed on the machine. You would just click that button and it would export to Excel.
Right. So in sales logic, just to recap, the things that are being used to some degree, the accounts, the contacts, the opportunities, the quotes. Within the quotes, you have the products, you have the notes history at different levels, you have the attachments, the activities / appointments. The sales process may or may not be used, and the competitors may have a few things in there, but probably not much.
Sounds right. Anybody's using any of these reports?
What about leads? Do you use leads at all?
No, we do not currently use leads. There might be a couple in there, but it's not a process that we have. Leads are, that's a bad one because he's leads would be before they were actually a prospect. That would be just the 500 names you get off the trade show list as far as we're concerned. And we weren't really using those very much in here. I want to bring over leads.
Yeah. There might be some things in here, but nothing we need to worry about for getting out of here. Okay. Now, within is it possible to open up Global Shop now? Okay. So within here, is the structure the same? Being that they have the same types of things. They have accounts, which we know about, opportunities. Yeah, and can you just kind of click through the different things here? So under the accounts, the opportunities.
Here. So here, yeah, we have the main information page, all of the company contact information, the individual contacts, additional info for each of the individual contacts.
Yep.
Opportunities are a little bit different here because when we get to the point of quoting, it actually jumps out of the CRM and goes into the full ERP. So
I got you.
The quotes are done. It's not like we have to do that link back and forth now.
And on the quotes, when you're using Global Shop, are you planning, for example, to convert something from a quote directly to an order?
John, are you going to have accounting do that, or are you going to have the salespeople do that now? I think that's been up for debate as to whether we have the salespeople convert it directly to an order, or if we still have accounting do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
The concern is just that second set of eyes to make sure that the quote is how it needs to be when it becomes a sales order, because the sales orders are harder to change.
Yep, no, I understand. And the so here, I think I see the third tab there. You have opportunity notes. Is that where, that's underneath the opportunity itself, where you could have some notes,
Yeah.
similar to what you have in the other system. Are there general account notes anywhere?
I think under main,
There you
here,
go.
we can put, yeah, right there. We can put notes there.
Got it. And how about the just see, the attachments? Is there a place to save attachments?
There is, I can't remember where that is. There's a whole document management system. I think it's one of these icons. We were having some difficulty with it, so it might not be showing right now. But there is definitely a document management system.
There's a document management component of this, which again we'll work into deeper. I just want to make sure that just like to see the things we can.
No.
In the can you go back to the main screen there? At the bottom, there's main additional info and metadata at the very bottom. What's under additional info there? Got it. So this is just groups and things like that.
So those would probably relate back to the prospect.
And then in here, can you assign accounts to people?
Yeah. I think I only see mine. Salesperson. So I guess the opportunity is to the salesperson.
I got it.
And see, these are only mine. These are only the ones that are under me.
So it's pre-filtered to you. So then, how about the activities? How are activities tracked in here? Events.
So under events, you just find the event info here. You can add, in this system we have more opportunity because we can add additional people to the notification.
I got you. And then, it sounds like from the old system to the new, that's primarily it. You have the main information about the account, you have the contacts, you still have the opportunities, the quotes jump out into the ERP system. You have the attachments, which are part of the document management system. You have the events here, and again, at different levels, you have the notes. I don't see the competitors per se, but you do have the ability to add some metadata or groupings or things like that if you want to get that over, which would probably be sufficient. The sales process, I don't see that in here, so that's more of a functional question, not really data migration question.
Right.
And I think that shows what it is that's in the old system, the new. Now, in terms of where, have you tried to export any of the data and import it? Have you run into any problems? Are you looking for help in all aspects of this, or any particular challenges that you're having?
I think so, because the only, we have the same issue here that we do in Mass 500, that we can only see one layer of data at a time.
Okay.
So the same thing as Mass 500, we have multiple addresses under some of these accounts. We have multiple contacts under the accounts, and we need all that information to still come in and still be connected.
Yeah, so you have again, these areas where you need to be able to pull out. I mean, you have multiple, you have a hierarchy of information. Some of it you may be able to get, others you can't. So, I mean, the hierarchy, you have accounts. Under accounts, you have contacts. Under accounts, you have locations. You have opportunities. Under each of these, you can have multiple notes. You can have multiple activities. So it seems like just like with the Mass 500, at least through the interface, what we're looking at here, you can't just run a query and export it and get all the information you need, and that's where we can help.
Right.
Anything else in the CRM that we didn't talk about in terms of getting data out or moving data from one system to another?
No, I think the CRM is pretty straightforward.
All right. And I think that was everything that we wanted to touch on today, being the ERP and the CRM. Kathy and Dear, is there anything else that I missed here that you want to, that you can think of off the top of your head?
I don't think so. No.
All right. So I think our next step is to take the notes of what we have here, how you're using the system. We have the recordings. We have the documentation you've already sent to us on Global Shop Solutions in terms of the capabilities there. We're going to organize it in terms of essentially what type of information is in both systems, what capabilities do we already know about, get our system architect to look at the capabilities of the technical tools that are available to us, and then put together a very, very preliminary plan as to here's the type of information that we can get, here's what we can move over, and then probably jump back on a call with you at some point next week to go through that plan and work through it with you to see what makes sense.
Sounds good.
Okay.
So I think that's our next step, and as we go through it, we may have a couple clarification questions that they come up once we go back and start looking at things. But for the most part, I think we got a lot here today. So we appreciate it, all the time you spent with us.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So thanks again, and I think that's it for today.
Great.
Okay. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. Have a good day.
You too.